were not available to the British Joint Intelligence Committee, even though the intercept facility covering Syria used by the NSA is the GCHQ facility on Mount Kudos in Cyprus. In fact, the only source for those communications intercepts was Mossad, and Mossad are not a neutral party in this, as Israel has been involved in the illegal bombardment of Syria for over a year. John Kerry has produced another dirty dossier of lies and fabricated intelligence as another excuse for a murderous attack on another Muslim country, and the people will not be fooled again.
That's a good sentiment. It's a good sentiment. So it's the rally here happening on the Saturday. Not that many people here. I thought there'd be more people, but there's not a huge amount of people here in Trafalgar Square. And of course, you know, there are a bunch of conspiracy theorists, aren't they? I'm not talking about these guys necessarily. I'm talking about the government. Of course, the official narrative of what happened in Syria, given to us by the mainstream media via the government, is a conspiracy theory. They have no evidence. They say a bunch of people did an illegal act, acting in such a way, in a conspiratorial manner. Again, the official story is a conspiracy theory, whether it's 19 people with a box cutter, whether it's a few guys with backpacks on subway trains. It's all conspiracy theory, basically, isn't it? But I've got a conspiracy theory of my own. Some of the speakers that have been speaking here in Trafalgar Square have been talking about the momentous victory of democracy. They've been talking about the anti-war majority getting a victory in a political process and them stopping the war. They stopped the war by using their voices. I really, really do not think that that is what happened. I've got a conspiracy theory of my own. Just going to get out of the way of the noise. Now, I came across quite an interesting thing, which was this, quite an interesting concept, that it seems that some people are of the opinion that the chemical release that happened on the 21st of August was in fact a case of chemical weapons belonging to the rebels being exploded accidentally by the Syrian government when they were bombarding the rebels. And this really got me thinking. The rebels have for a very long time been accepting non-lethal assistance from America and from Britain and possibly from France. And the assistance they've been giving is logistic in nature, it is strategic, it is planning, and it is the execution of strategy. Now, the Syrian government, their forces, are fairly, let's just get across the road, they are fairly inept. They're fairly rubbish. They've been using anti-aircraft flak guns to shoot pedestrians. That's not what you're supposed to do. They're fairly desperate, and I think that this is a conspiracy theory. You like conspiracy theories, don't you? This is a conspiracy theory. I think that the Syrian government were led to bomb what they thought was a safe house, but is actually basically a storage place for chemical weapons, plagued by so much noise. Imagine this, that you led the Syrian government to believe that there was a safe house containing lots of rebels. You led them to believe it so strongly that they formed an operation to bomb the rebel stronghold. but in fact it wasn't a rebel stronghold. It was a place filled with chemical weapons or chemical containers, so that this would simulate a Syrian government chemical attack, because when they shot their guns and shot their shells, when the explosions hit the ground, a chemical release happened. That seems to me to be a no-brainer. It seems like that's, if you were advising the rebels, this would be very beneficial to your side. I've got another conspiracy theory, and I really am starting to believe myself on this one. Do you remember when I did a video called Linton Crosby and the Matrix? Matrix chambers founded by Cherie Blair and a few top-notch lawyers, barristers. Now what they do is they work on international human rights. Specifically what they're trying to do is they're trying to bring about a situation where they can have jurisdiction over other countries in terms of human rights prosecutions. The problem at the moment is that one country does not have the right to prosecute another country. But that's what they're working on. Now I believe in the reality of propaganda and control by secret societies and control by tax-free foundations. And I don't believe for a second that that Britain not going to war because of a vote is a real situation. I think that those lot in there talking about the momentous victory of democracy over warmongers, I think that serves the agenda, because by keeping Britain out of using weapons to solve these problems, we've been bombarded with lots of articles in the last few days about, what is Britain's role in the world now? If we can't use bombs, then what is our role? Well, there's Matrix Chambers making sure that our role is getting control through the use of legislation, international human rights legislation. And if you think about where that might lead, international human rights legislation, one country such as Britain basically dictating to others in a legal framework, then that really does seem to match up with the higher agenda called the New World Order.